2025. And in the coming weeks and months, we're going to see the array of blockchains that I mentioned plug in to the network. Number of them being developed by external teams that are going through either audit reviews or kind of testing phases right now. Some of them are still in the earlier development phases, but all of that over the next, I would say, kind of a month to a year will gradually start going live on the network.
And once it's valid, it's a valid form of money legally, and you have that consistently around the world, which we will. Then I think the uses by every type of institution will explode.
Alrighty, everybody, what is going on? Welcome back to another CYPRX video banger. In today's video, we're going to be diving into some massive, groundbreaking fundamentals to show you guys how deep the rabbit hole and the interconnectivity of the Axelar network really, truly goes. Nobody on the face of the internet right now is doing this type of research for you guys, digging through these fundamentals, sharing these video clips and these panel discussions that go relatively unnoticed. So if you all enjoy today's video breakdown, which I'm sure you will, if you enjoy deep research, do us a favor, smash that thumbs up button and subscribe to the platform. Now, I am going to need you guys to stick around for the entirety of today's video breakdown. It is going to be a little bit of a lengthy one. I have about 5 to 6 fundamentals to share with you guys, and in between, I'm going to be playing video clips that, again, have barely any views or any mainstream media attention. So nerd out with me for a little bit, but I'm telling you guys right now that if you stick around for the entirety of today's video, you're going to be just as bullish as I am on the digital asset Axelar. Now, before we get started, as always, none of this is financial advice. I'm just showing you guys why I am interested in the project. It would always behoove you and suit your best interest to do your own personal research and assess your own risk properly. We're going to start here. We got this funny little meme here, but all jokes aside, Axelar said here, Axelar isn't only the most decentralized interoperability protocol, it's also the most integrated and secure multi-chain real-world asset tokenization platform. And I'm going to prove that in today's video breakdown through doing some very concise research. I commented on this Axelar post by saying Axelar has been cooking, right? And they have been, and I'm going to show you guys that again in today's video breakdown. So let's start here. I'm telling you guys, I'm super excited to present all this information to you guys today because, man, the CYPRX researchers have been head over heels curating this information behind the scenes, piecing all of this together, and it's just so mind-blowing that we as average retail investors have the ability to dip our toes in the water with investing in these digital assets that are completely in the process right now of building out the new financial infrastructure, and it's all open, right? This is not like they're hiding any of this information. So what I'm going to share with you guys again today is going to just chap in. Okay, check this out. This fundamental piece here reads, as we're going to start off here in today's video breakdown, from January 30th, 2025, so within the last 20 days, Axelar developer Interop Labs joined Stablecoin standard to advance global stablecoin accessibility and interoperability. Stablecoins and interoperability are going to be two of our primary key vocabulary words that you're going to need to pay attention to today. Reason being is because
the future of digital assets depends on the creation of interoperable infrastructure that connects various platforms and ecosystems.
As you all heard, a representative from Ripple mentioning that the future of this digital asset ecosystem depends on interoperability, right? So again, I'm just trying to show you guys why we're going to be paying attention to those types of key vocabulary words. Back to this fundamental piece to continue. The stablecoin standard, the industry body for stablecoin issuers today, this is again back from January 30th, announced it has formed a strategic partnership with Interop Labs, the initial developer of Axelar network. As blockchain interoperability leaders, Interop Labs brings expertise that would help bring stablecoin access to blockchain ecosystems and economies across the globe. Stablecoins have opened the door, enabling access to financial products and currencies so that people all over the world can benefit, said Sergey Gubernov. I probably butchered the crap out of that, the CEO of Interop Labs and the CEO of the Axelar protocol. Stablecoin standards have been the voice of this change with the world financial regulators, and Interop Labs is honored to join the effort to preserve and extend stablecoin access at a global scale through interoperability, preserving regulation and technology standards. So you can see here that they are in some way, shape, or form attempting to maintain some sort of regulatory compliance. Movement across various blockchains has been a key growth driver for stablecoins, and Axelar has supported that growth trajectory for leaders, including Circle and Ondo, two companies in which we're going to be paying attention to and listening to some panel discussions of today. Axelar's Interchain Token Service, or ITS, allows stablecoins to move across blockchains as native assets without relying on wrapped assets, which create confusion and fragmented liquidity. As a result, the partnership between Stablecoin Standard and Interop Labs, stablecoin issuers everywhere will have access to this technology and expertise. We at Stablecoin Standard hope to collaborate closely with Interop Labs and our issuer members to scale their stablecoin issuance beyond the chains that they currently support, said Christian Walker, chairman and co-founder of Stablecoin Standard. The XLR network has the technology stack to make this process efficient and simple for users and accomplish our shared goals of global access to the benefits stablecoins can bring. Keep in mind, this gentleman, this individual CEO of Stablecoin Standard, is saying that our issuer members will be able to scale their stablecoins utilizing the XLR network. Let's just pause right there for just 2 seconds. And I just want to show you guys some of the individual members that sit on this committee and on this advisory board. You have right here Zoidia Markets, some of the largest institutions and names in this space. You have right here State Street, head of macro policy.
So it's clear that this market needs to come from the big players. And I think that especially here in this audience, people that have been working on it for several years have been a little bit, okay, why is it so slow? And I think that the point where we're here today is different from where we were a year ago. At this point, correct me if I'm wrong, you guys and your peers are coming in a big way. It's just happening at the pace that it's coming, and to make regulators comfortable with it.
Yeah, I think that's right, and I think it's accelerating, for sure.
You have also down here, ACI, the Global Chief Compliance Officer at ACI Worldwide. Okay, you also have the Chief Legal Officer at Stellar. And so, again, take into consideration who XLR is partnering with, the devil is in the details. So this statement right here is massive. It goes on to say, in a recent white paper, an opt-in American banker, Interop Labs head of legal policy, Jason Razovsky, and leading blockchain lawyer, Louis, I'm not going to butcher his last name, developed concepts to help regulators turn decentralized interoperability to their advantage. Regulators can use programmable interoperability and the properties of open blockchains, the paper argues, to accomplish objectives of stability, safety, and transparency across the financial systems with global reach. We invite regulators and policymakers to work with industry at the programmatic layer of decentralized interoperability. Rozovsky said, "We're excited to work with SBS, experienced policy team," that's the financial institution, SBS, policy team, to help ensure that common sense standards are developed and promulgated across the broader blockchain ecosystem, and look forward to helping provide our perspective from a very important vantage point of decentralized interoperability. As Stablecoin Standard issuer members expand into new markets, Interop Labs is committed to contributing to regulatory clarity and compliance in regions across the globe. Together, Stablecoin Standards and Interop Labs will work with members to engage regulators on stablecoin interoperability and its related regulatory compliance concerns. This fundamental piece, in a nutshell, is everything that you want to see when you're investing in something, from my personal perspective, in the digital asset ecosystem. Regulatory compliance, working with regulators, financial institutions involved, massive market participants, some of the world's largest organizations sitting on the advisory board of the Stablecoin Standard, whom in which just partnered with XLR, okay? This is absolutely massive. Now, to go over to this panel discussion, I want you guys to take a second and listen. This is an individual representative from Ripple sitting on stage, a couple of other large market participants, one being from the Linux Foundation, which we'll get into in just 1 second. And then here you have the co-founder of XLR, okay? So just take a second and listen to what these individuals here have to say. I'm going to play 3 video clips from this, and then we're going to continue down the rabbit hole.
Why does interoperability matter? And then what are the standards that we need to be thinking about in order to bring about that interoperability? So Yorgos, could you help us set that scene a little bit?
Absolutely. So interoperability is only important if you have a lot of chains, right? If there's one big chain where everything settles, you have native interoperability, composability in that chain, right? So First, we need to establish that there's going to be multiple chains, right? In my opinion, there's going to be at least 1,000 chains that have substantial economic activity on top of them.
So I just wanted you to hear that clip where he mentioned that he believes that there are going to be thousands of chains in the future. Now, fast forward a little bit into this panel discussion, an individual representative from the Linux Foundation actually agrees with what he says. Take a second here and listen.
So number one, we agree, right? There's not going to be one blockchain to rule them all. Maybe 12 years ago, people thought so, but not anymore for sure. And it's really important to acknowledge that it needs a space for different blockchains and innovative, new layer 2s and new layer 1s that are bringing innovation into the markets as well.
So notice how she kind of points at the gentleman from Axelar and says new layer 2s, and she confirms, right, that there's going to be one chain to rule them all, confirming what he said about there being thousands of chains that exist in the future.
For different blockchains and innovative, new layer 2s and new layer 1s that are bringing innovation into the markets as well.
Right? Now, last but not least, just to confirm that Axelar collaborated with the Linux Foundation, take a second and listen to this little tiny video clip so you don't think that I'm just making that partnership or that connection up.
And how you think this will contribute to the future of institutional adoption of digital assets.
Absolutely. And just to briefly add to Daniela's point, there is so much competition also in the blockchain space, and there's not that many credibly neutral organizations that can bring competitors together. So I hope, you can do something similar for the blockchain space as well, and we're already seeing signs of that. So excited to be collaborating with the Linux Foundation. Excited to be collaborating with the Linux Foundation.
Excited to be collaborating with the Linux Foundation. Ladies and gentlemen, if you do not know who the Linux Foundation is, the fact that they even said that openly on stage at a panel discussion from just a couple of weeks ago is massive. You go to the Linux Foundation, take a look at their members. The Linux Foundation members help support the development of shared technology resources while accelerating their own innovation through open source leadership and participation in some of the world's most successful open source projects. The names in which you know and the organizations that you use most likely every single day of your lives are on this list. Microsoft, Google, Amazon, so on and so forth. I mean, the list goes on. You could sit here and you could scroll for endless hours to find organizations that you most likely know and utilize each and every single day. So again, it's just massive what is happening behind the scenes. And the mainstream is never going to piece a fundamental video breakdown like this together for you guys. To continue on, I know we're going on 16 minutes, but bear with me. This is only going to get deeper. So it mentioned Circle and it mentioned Ondo in terms of partnerships with Axelar. This is going to freaking blow your mind considering some recent panel discussions that have taken place. So we're going to tap into the Ondo Finance Summit. I want you to listen. Keep in mind, we've been talking about interoperability, and I also told you guys to pay attention to stablecoins. Listen to what Ondo Finance says about the Ondo Finance Bridge, how they talk about BlackRock, and then I want to get into a panel discussion that I played in a previous video breakdown where this individual representative, all of these representatives being from large financial institutions and market makers, mentioning that right now, BlackRock only allows 2% allocation into this digital asset space. Imagine when they start to allow 10% allocation into this digital asset space, it is going to ramp up this space to hundreds of trillions of dollars. Okay. So again, just take a second and listen. And I'm not an advocate for, hyping people up and saying that this is going to just randomly happen overnight, but I guess the real picture that I'm trying to paint here is that we are so freaking early in the space. We're literally at ground zero at $3 trillion compared to where this market cap is going to go over the next consecutive couple of years. So understand that. And hopefully this research paints that clear picture for you guys. Take a second and listen to a few of these clips.
At Ondo, we started our journey into tokenization by asking, how can we make stablecoins even better? The answer, tokenized treasuries, or as we call them, yield coins. Like stablecoins, they're accessible globally 24/7 and programmable on-chain, but they also pay holders a yield. Our first product, OUSG, targeted institutional and high-net-worth individuals in the crypto ecosystem, making it easy for them to go back and forth between stablecoins and US dollars, and to use yield-bearing assets as collateral in on-chain financial protocols. In order to demonstrate this utility, around the time we launched OUSG, we also developed Flux Finance, the first on-chain treasury repo marketplace, allowing OUSG holders to pledge their tokens as collateral and borrow against them. Earlier this year, with the help of BlackRock, we enabled instant minting and redemptions for OUSG 24/7, and we reduced the minimum from $100,000 to $5,000, broadening access even further. While these innovations were great, access to OUSG was still limited to institutional investors. And that's why we launched USDY, the first freely transferable yield coin, designed to be usable in DeFi and accessible to retail investors outside the US. Since then, we further broadened access, expanding USDY across multiple chains, including Ethereum, Solana, Sui, Aptos, Mantle, Arbitrum, and Cosmos. We also built the Ondo Bridge to enable seamless transfers across them, and we helped to integrate USDY in a number of DeFi protocols.
So there it is. 2 key vocabulary takeaways, actually 3 collectively speaking. He talks about stablecoins, how they can expand and widen the adoption of stablecoins through US treasuries. They talked about BlackRock opening the door for access to, these products. They also talked about this Ondo Bridge, and it's all going to play a relevant role. First, I just want you guys to listen to what this gentleman here says. These 2 individual speakers on stage. Keep in mind, I played a video clip of who these people even are and why it's important for you to be listening and tapping into this.
Happy to introduce you to the wonderful speakers we have today. And if I were in the audience, I would be really curious what these wonderful people have to say. Most of them are my friends for a long time. And these are not the people that got into crypto yesterday because of the hype, but the real OGs of the space that predict the future of finance and shape it with everything that they do. And we have a really great mix today. We have Aliyah from a very crypto-native Signum Bank. We have Alan, the GSR and market-making guys, the people who control the liquidity and the money flows. Lior from the VC, also the money part, which looks for the outliers in the space and funds the next unicorn. Maybe that would be one of your projects in the future. And Dominic, a little bit more traditional player, nevertheless, still very technologically advanced from Bitcoin Swiss. This was a high-level overview.
These videos have hardly any views. This video alone has 59 views and is from 12 days ago, which just goes to prove my point that nobody is paying attention to this information, okay? Take a second here and listen to what they say about BlackRock and them allocating more capital to this space.
Yes, for sure. So in December, we also launched an Outlook piece with a couple of predictions. And based on our risk models and long-term exponential growth models, we had a conservative floor target of 10 trillion. So I guess like 7.5 is rather on the even on the more conservative side. And basically, again, there are like two catalysts for it. A, we are currently matching again the cyclicality of Bitcoin, of the US election cycle, of the liquidity cycle. So there's this notion of there is some onset of an easing cycle when it comes to monetary policy in the US. And then obviously, institutions, as you outlined, they're still like around 60% of the big players still not able to allocate into these ETF vehicles based on compliance restrictions or firm-wide policies, for instance. And this should resolve in the upcoming months, and then I guess like we will see like an acceleration in institutional flows.
Yeah, so I think there's 2 aspects of this that I think is important for me to clarify. And I like the point on BlackRock and Larry Fink talking about 2% allocation and what that means. I mean, of course, if people start allocating 10% and all institutional managers and all large-scale funds are doing that, I think we're talking hundreds of trillions of dollars at that point, right? So I think we need to remember the proportions of what seemingly little numbers in traditional capital markets can actually do to influence the market cap in our industry. And
so keep in mind, he just said that he expects all of this to come into fruition in the next couple of months/years. This just paints such a broad picture of where we're currently sitting at in the landscape. I mean, right now they're giving a projection of the total crypto landscape to expand up to about $7 to $10 trillion this year. But they're talking about if BlackRock was able to allocate more than 2% and put that up to 10%, that would create an inflow of hundreds of trillions of dollars, right? So just again, take those things into consideration. Now, back to the main, portion of today's video breakdown. Axelar, it's the most integrated and secure multi-chain real-world tokenization platform. We talked about stablecoins so far. We've mentioned interoperability, how it's going to play an important role in this digital asset landscape moving forward. We saw the individual gentleman from Ondo on stage mention Ondo Bridge.
We also built the Ondo Bridge to enable seamless transfers across them.
Okay, well, check this out. Ondo Finance, the leading issuer of tokenized secure notes and on-chain treasuries, joined forces with Axelar, the leading Web3 interoperability platform, to introduce Ondo Bridge, an innovative cross-chain solution inspired by Circle's cross-chain transfer protocol, or CCTP. The Ondo Bridge simplifies the movement of Ondo tokens such as the yield-bearing stablecoin or USDY across blockchain networks for seamless user experience. Ondo Bridge goes beyond the wrapped assets used by traditional bridge, supporting issuance of native tokens, including Ondo's USDY across blockchain networks supported by Axelar. USDY is a tokenized note secured by short-term US treasuries and bank demand deposits with 35 million in TVL. This integration ensures that tokens transferred between networks remains native, using a burn and mint mechanism to avoid bridging risk associated with wrapped assets. Additionally, it fosters unified secondary market liquidity, allowing traders to capitalize on token price arbitrage across various decentralized exchanges, maintaining price stability. Axelar's programmable cross-chain platform will enable Ondo to easily and automatically manage USDY supply, burn tokenized representations of its real-world assets on-chain in order to mint them on another. The initial deployment will rely on Squid, a cross-chain liquidity router built on Axelar to transfer USDY between some chain pairs, including Mantle. Demand for the better stablecoin is growing, and it isn't limited to a single Web3 ecosystem, said Nathan Allman, founder and CEO of Ondo. The bridge enables us to meet the demand wherever it exists. And as you all just heard right now, we're in a space where 60% of financial institutions are still sidelined. BlackRock's still only allowing 2% allocation to the space. Imagine if they allowed 5% allocation or 7%. Let's not even go all the way to 10%. People, I'm talking about trillions of dollars are still sitting dormant and sidelined. And it's weird that people honestly don't see this massive opportunity. Again, not financial advice. Axelar seamlessly connects over 50 blockchain networks, offering decentralized security and permissionless programmability. It has gained recognition among large enterprises such as Microsoft, whom I just showed you guys as a part of the Linux Foundation, as an essential tool for integrating off-chain systems with on-chain networks. Axelar's contributions have played a crucial role in the development of composable USDC, combining Axelar's general messaging passage technology with Circle's CTTP, which we'll get into in just 1 second, right? So I'm just trying to show you guys fundamentals that I feel like have gone relatively unnoticed, starting from more recent ones to ones that I feel like a lot of people slept on over the past consecutive couple of years. So let's just go back, considering the fact that we were talking about stablecoins, to October 2022. Composable USDC, seamless UX or user experience in the multi-chain world. This is going to be massive, and I'm going to end today's video clip by playing a little tiny video statement from Token 249, where Jeremy Allaire was talking on stage and what he says is coming over the next consecutive couple of months/years. Axelar is a decentralized and permissionless cross-chain platform offering secure cross-chain communication and cutting-edge developer tooling. Combining Axelar with the recently announced cross-chain transfer protocol by Circle, we plan to unlock seamless Web3 user experience to make blockchain tech accessible to billions of users. And right now, people, we're only at like 675 million active crypto users. Think about those numbers in terms of when the next billion to 2 billion users come into this space over the coming years. Okay. Circle has announced the cross-chain transfer protocol, which enables USDC to flow natively across chain, eliminating the need for wrapped version of supported chains. Axelar adds general messaging passages through Circle's protocol. Together, Axelar and Circle plan to enable composable USDC. If we scroll down here, it talks about to empower the developers to create seamless user experience in a multi-chain world, Circle and Axelar have built powerful tools, cross-chain transfer protocol and Axelar's general messaging GMP. Together, the CCTP and the GMP allow developers to pass payloads automatically with native cross-chain USDC transfers. Do you guys remember? I'm going to freaking blow your mind if you are still here. An individual representative from Impel, one thing that he said, and he talked about the messages payload being transferred with digital assets and how that is the next step. That is what, digital assets and where we will eventually get to. And the secret sauce of this whole entire infrastructure is when institutions start using digital assets to complete the messages payload. Take a second here and listen.
So that would be a blend of the two, as we had talked about earlier. The next generation model is adding the digital assets in the messages payload. Still working with banks and financial institutions, but they would just be using the newer technology without the traditional providers.
And as you can see, it literally says word for word right here, together, CCTP and GMP allow developers to pass payloads automatically with native cross-chain USDC. Up here, it says most people are familiar with cross-chain bridges, which can only transport wrap representations of assets. The GMP goes beyond that. Axelar can transport any payload, allowing devs to build true cross-chain apps offering one-click user experience. This is freaking massive, people. Again, go ahead and smash that thumbs up button and subscribe. CYPRX research at its finest. Last but not least, considering the fact that they're working with Circle and USDC, right? Let's go over here and just listen to what Jeremy Allaire talks about the next 3 years in crypto and how he mentions that this is going to exponentially explode. Take a second here and listen.
I think, there are a lot of forward-leaning payment companies like Stripe or, neobanks and others that are starting to use stablecoins, which is great, but the use is pretty small. In terms of like enterprises, meaning major companies, it's very small. And we still have a critical thing that needs to happen. And the good news is it is happening, which is that stablecoins need to be considered legal electronic money. They need to be treated as a cash equivalent instrument on a balance sheet. So an accountant or a finance person in a company can say, okay, this is digital cash, and I can account for it and I can report on it. And once it's valid, it's a valid form of money legally. And you have that consistently around the world, which we will, then I think the uses by every type of institution will explode.
The uses by every single institution will explode. People, come on now. I don't know what else to show you to get you to see how massive of an opportunity just paying attention to this digital asset space and just, annotating little tiny small details like the ones that I've shown you in today's video breakdown is for long-term survival and longevity in this space. With all of that in mind, again, I know that it was a lot. We're at 31 minutes in today's video breakdown, but I truly do appreciate you guys for stopping by. I hope you all enjoyed today's video breakdown. I'm not telling you guys to go out there and buy the digital asset Axelar. I am personally a bag holder of the digital asset Axelar, and I'm going to continue to dollar cost average into that project. I've assessed my own personal risk properly, and I've done my research. I suggest that you guys go out there and do the same before getting involved in any crypto-related project or in this digital asset space in general. It would always behoove you guys to do your own personal research. Many blessings to you guys. Smash that thumbs up button and subscribe to the platform if you enjoyed. And with that being said, I will see you guys in the next video breakdown.